going on, y'all? It's JSmo Reviews here, back at it again with another video. As promised you guys, we had the top 5 battles yesterday. Start of the battle wrap-up, as I called it, for 2024, 2023. And as we go into today, obviously, as you see, I have the top 5 body bags, my picks for the top 5 body bags of 2023. Definitely some deaths, as there is every year. Death. Some because of the opponent choking, some the opponent wasn't even that bad, or they were just good, maybe even decent, but the person that they were facing or that came out on top was just so much better, so special that night. So there's a couple different versions of how you can get, pathways of how you can get to a body bag. Also, before I get into this, just want to shout out New Jersey Twerk, man. Showed me some love on Twitter, said some great things. Just really appreciate when the work is acknowledged and stuff like that. At the end of the day, I'm just a fan that likes chopping battles. I just turn the camera on. So any of that con stuff, men, are getting respect from legends in the game is duly appreciated. But without further ado, I didn't have to do it for the top 5 battles, but right here I do have the top five, a couple honorable mentions before we get into the body bags. So starting out with those couple of honorable mentions, just got 2 of them. For impactful reasons that I think should make the list. And the first one is Twerk versus Coffee, Kings versus Queens 4. And the second one is Shayna Ashley versus Tori Doe. When it comes to Twerk and Coffee, one of the more dominant performances. And the one thing I will say with this battle is I know on the playback, there's been more and more respect towards Coffee. Particularly, I've even seen some people giving Coffee the battle. And here's my thing. Her second, material-wise, is definitely borderlining good, I think, or is good, really. I think she does reach peaks in her second. I think the rooster bar, the rooster on the roof, I think something of that nature. She had a rooster bar that was really crazy. And her third, she even had moments, but here's the thing. She lost the first by a lot. She still lost the second, and she choked in the third. She couldn't have won the battle. It's just not what could have happened. The reason that this isn't going to go up the list, though, is Twerk obviously doesn't have a third in this battle. Now, similar to what we're going to talk about with Shayna and Tori, if you beat someone with even less material, some will argue that makes it a bigger body. But for me, when we have like complete 3-round performances where guys are just overkilling for 3 rounds and getting a full performance out, it's got to be valued a little bit more. And with Shayna and Tori, not Shayna's fault, so it's tough. We obviously know this was where Shayna wrapped 2 rounds, and Tori said twice. So it's not really, it's not I go, you go, as Shayna said, but have to mention it because it was impactful. It is crazy. It's never been seen before, and it is a very dominant, death because Shayna was cooking as well. But compared to battles that got full 3-round performances from both artists, or at least the winning artist, it just can't equal up to that. But I had to mention those real quick for impactful reasons. And now we can get right into the top 5. And at number 5, maybe out of all these, the most dominant. Maybe out of all these, the most dominant, if you take all the other facets, like things you can grade off away, that is Frack versus Soul Khan on the Stay Forever event. And this was just ugly. I mean, this is 3 rounds of straight Jewish ass whooping. Frack, if it's angles, moments, freestyles a little bit, just straight punches. At the end of the day, Frack was just so much better than Soul Khan at all fronts, and Soul Khan was nearly as bad as possible. Bringing the file back thing, couple of bars he had. It wasn't like the disaster performance where he's going on a completely unnecessary political tirade, but you have an element to that. It's just not a good performance. The only reason that this won't go higher, and some will argue it higher, is that out of all these battles here, this is one that was supposed to be this way from the start. I knew going into this that Frack was going to whoop on Soul Khan, and Frack whooped on Soul Khan. It's still in the top 5 because it's obviously impactful, but out of everyone here, that's like the telegraphed one that absolutely, I don't think there was another way of that battle going, but still has to make the list here at number 5. Shout out Frack. A few performances this year, but with the couple that he did have, extremely impactful. And then you can get into number 4, and at number 4, another one that is just ugly, as the optics of all these will be, but I do have Ace Amin versus Truffaut. It got to the point that Truffaut was trying to sabotage the battle and ask for it to be reshot. Not going to get a lot worse optically than that. Add to the fact True's choking all 3 rounds, but Ace is having a great performance. I mean, the 40, the 10 times foe, that was crazy. I mean, some of his better quotables of the year, and really in a year that ended on a bit of a whimper for Ace, this is an example of that first half of the year that had clean performance, no real stuttering, great punches, getting to the point quick while not losing your identity with that very rap-heavy style, multisyllabic style. Ace just punched him to death for 3 rounds straight. And really, you could say Av and Truffaut was up here. I hate to say it. Both weren't the best looks for Truffaut earlier in the year. But the Ace one optically has the scrapping and the sabotaging in it. And for all those reasons, it's got to make my top 5. And then you get into the top 3 of the year. And at number 3, one that's going back near the very start of the year, but it clearly has to make this list, is A Ward's performance versus Vixen. And what's crazy is that when you get to the third of this battle, the first 2 rounds of A Ward just really smoking Vixen, and a pretty okay Vixen. Like, obviously, I'm not going to say that she was good or great. She got caught up in the style, the kind of the flow that she's been critiqued of getting stuck in. I think Jazz did a really good job of kind of breaking down. Vixen can get a little bit one track sometimes, and there is some good bars in there if you write the material down. But A Ward was just so by far much better that you get to the third, and even when he wins that, I think that's like, it's almost light, but it's really not light. It just feels like that because the energy of the room has just been taken out. The Crown Vic moment is up there as one of the few real contenders for moment of the year. There's a bunch of moments that did happen, but between maybe Glock 40, so A Ward's got 2 crazy ones, and then Geechee's, really, however you want to talk about Geechee's third round versus Easy, if you want to just say just the Verb remix part, whatever part it is, I think those are really like the top moments of the year, and one of those was had in this battle. And then even outside of that, the body graded on a curve was crazy. The white side, black side bar was crazy. Yeah, ton of different assassin flips. I think is a lot. We all know the way A Ward did to Vixen is a lot. And for me, you do that in New York, big stage, even had the Verb call out. It's a classic performance at that. And for many, like I said, when it comes to body bags, there's a bunch of different things that people consider to be more dominant than the other. But this is a good old big stage ass whooping. And that's why it has to make my top 5. And then you get into the runner-up spot. One that I thought of late, you know what I'm saying? I was like, I already made my list and I thought of it. I'm like, how is this not on the list? And that is Jerry West versus DNA on Summer Madness. You want to talk about a Summer Madness moment? Jerry West was predicted, I think, like 90-10 or something like that going into this battle. I mean, super duper underdog. He went in the face-off. He did himself no favors. Even though you don't really use the face-off to grade, I remember being there, and thinking that it wasn't a great look for Jerry there either. At times I thought when he brought up like RB and the URL face off, what are we doing? Like, so I thought just certain things, I'm like, man, this is heading towards the death. This is a guy that just might not be prepared for this particular professional at this moment. And how wrong could I be, man? Jerry West was incredible from first to third, and DNA wasn't that bad. You know, similar to the Vixen battle, but even more so. DNA's first is pretty good versus Jerry. His second is decent, even starts off with the basketball prop rebuttals that went over great with the crowd, so DNA had his moments, but it was overkill for 3 rounds. Jerry, for a minute, it started out slow in the first, then it just picked up till he won clear. The second, dude, he just won clear. He just kind of smoked the second. And then same thing with the third, a perfect closeout, multiple props, but even if you take the props away, Jerry has improved so much as a puncher. He just really punched his head off as well. He beat DNA, one of the best all-around battlers ever in every aspect of the game that night. Even had a rebuttal himself, if I'm correct, in that third round. So got to give Jerry his props to do that against that opponent, that stage. One of the biggest body bags of the year, and for me, the second biggest body bag of the year in 2023. And then that leaves you with body of the year, which I got to say did happen quite recently. And that is Shotgun Suge versus Ace Amin on Homecoming. God damn, y'all. But what Suge is always known for, he's always had a great collection of dominant wins. And I feel like some people in battle rap are particularly great at that compared to others. I don't just mean clear wins. I mean like body bags. We all know Swave Seva's in that conversation for the most 30s. K-Shine is in that conversation for the most 30s. And whether you think these guys are the winningest battle rappers, all that, I mean, just in terms of catching 30s, Suge has got to be in there, because when he does win, he wins by like a lot. Last year, he took home body of the year versus Chess, which he absolutely deserved. Had a body bag versus Drugs that year as well. Did that even if Drugs isn't the craziest competition, he did have a little bit of buzz, and he did it in dominant fashion. And this is another battle where Ace Amin, even for these first 2 rounds, Ace is decent. I don't like the angle he ends up taking the second. I mean, obviously, my review for that battle, I don't think I actually just reviewed that battle. Talked about it a little bit, though. But I thought Ace's first is pretty good. I think his second, he takes some angles I don't like, but there's some content in there. But what does that got to do? You know, Suge was smoking him. The first round, from the second that he hit the I'm a living legend, you got to be died to consider this, the rest of this battle was ugly. There's no other way to say it. The stumbles started coming in for Ace as the time goes on. The crowd is completely flipped on him. Suge's second is marginally worse than his first, but it is also amazing. And it got to the point that really Ace kind of just let quit in the third. There's really no other way for me to say it. It's not straight like a Danny Myers type of way where it's like he literally threw in the towel or said, I'm not rapping, so I'm not going to equate it to that. But literally it just looked like Ace was over it and said, whatever, time, man. And then Suge's third is also still very, very good. He's just a guy that when he does catch you on the wrong day, he can make a complete example out of you. And it's tough because if you really look at the first half of Ace's year, I thought Ace did very good to start the year. Craig, clean. The Nitty battle on SM is obviously very good. And, the Marv battle's not a good look. And then you end your year with this. And it just goes to show when you look at the noise around Ace's name, someone that started with a good year, and then you look at what this loss has done to an image, that for me is the type of stuff that a body of the year can do for you. You know what I'm saying? Or kind of do to you. You have that effect on your opponent. At the same time, a Suge who wasn't great all this year, ends on a win that has you confident in any of these other big matchups. So that when he does talk about battling a Hollow, I think he's called out easy. Whether you think he's going to win bigger matchups like this or not, when you see that guy, it makes you confident in putting him in those situations. And for me, for the second year straight, Shotgun Suge did catch the body of the year in battle rap. But that is my list for the top 5 with a couple extras there in the honorable mentions. I've definitely missed some. Or not necessarily miss some, but there's more that people are going to pitch us that they think is a better example for body of the year. So I would love to hear any of your guys' examples of battles that I missed, or if you would how you would rearrange this list. Like I said, it's always going to be subjective in battle rap, especially with these superlative awards. But for some people, the fact that Tory didn't even get rounds out makes it body of the year. I mean, it doesn't get crazier than that. Frack and Soulcon, like I said, might be the actual biggest gap in performance, but I have to factor in strength. That when I factor in who you battled and kind of that big moment, if you had something nearly just as dominant, and then with those other things like a Jerry West had playing against them, like a couple other battlers on here had going against them, it just makes it that more important and that more impactful. But like I said, just want to hear your thoughts on it, man. I do have a couple more lists coming out to wrap up 2023, but it's been Jay Smo Reviews again, y'all. Like, comment, subscribe. I'm going to catch you on the next one, man. Peace.